Can you talk to us about what you think is really going on with COVID?
It was a psyop, obviously. There's a patent trail that goes back 22 years, including a, quote, COVID-19 test that was patented in 2015, and the pronouncements of Fauci in 2017, somehow prognosticating that there would be a major pandemic when there hadn't been one in 100 years, which he said with authority, there will be another pandemic in the next 2 years. And so what happened was COVID started in University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and then Obama banned gain-of-function testing. Fauci says no problem, exported it, transported that to Wuhan, where it was completed and then released. This was just a freak show. It was just one of the most brilliant psychological operations in history, locking people down, keeping them away from each other, closing schools and churches, closing small businesses, and doing all kinds of measures that were, up until that time, considered completely absurd. And now we know, in the big Johns Hopkins study, bit of truth, is that all the lockdown measures did much more harm than good. And then make people super miserable, and then present them with the only option to get back to normal was an experimental injection. And it was just brilliantly executed, and the amount of coercion and guilt and fear was just incredible and never before seen.
Was it for population reduction, or was it a test for future population
Not
control?
COVID, no, it was too mild. Everybody got so-called infected or exposed is maybe a better word. And almost everybody that got, quote, sick recovered with mild to minimal symptoms. So I think the thing that was the depopulation event, which was more of a dud than they had hoped, was the vaccine, the experimental genetic modification injections. That, I think, was what everything was geared towards. 5 billion people took at least one of these things, including 75-ish% of the U.S. population getting at least one. And we saw the most deaths where there was the most vaccination, like in the U.S., and the least deaths where they had the least vaccination, like in many countries in Africa, where they're like, we don't want this. Because they had already been abused by the Gates Foundation vaccine program. They're like, they're just distrustful of all injections, which kept them alive,
And they caught Gates trying to sterilize the women there.
They did.
And yeah.
They did.
So they knew. They knew.